Howdy gang, and welcome back to Pool School. In today's episode, I am going to answer a question that I seem to be getting a lot with regards to a DE filter, and that is, how do I test my filter to see if I have any torn grids? Well, it's actually quite simple, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So what do you say we get started? Alrighty, before we get started, I want to thank you once again for watching this video, and want to remind you to like this video if you do, subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already, and please share this channel with your friends, family, everybody you know who owns a pool, who might be looking to save $1 or $2 servicing their pool themselves. So, you have a DE filter, and I've had a lot of questions about DE filters and people saying, oh, I've got, cloudiness in my pool and stuff like that. And again, I'm not addressing algae and phosphates and things like that. If you haven't seen my videos on those, I'd suggest you watch them. Watch the video on algae and algicides and why you don't need them, and also how I cleared my green pool. I will put a link to both of those videos in the description below this video, just so you can check it out, okay? So I'm assuming that your pool chemistry is fine, and you've noticed your water is cloudy, or maybe you just want to test your DE filter to see if everything's okay, and you don't want to have to tear it apart, look inside, and examine it, okay? So the good news is you don't have to do that. There's a very, very simple way to see if your DE grids, your filter grids, are in good shape, okay? And it doesn't take much to do. So let's head back to a pool and take a look. Before we get into the actual testing, like I said, it's really easy. You want to have a bag of DE powder. So this is the kind that I use. It's made by Cellapool. It's actually my new favorite because it is a low dust, you notice, low dust DE filter powder, okay? I really like it. I don't like that DE powder blowing into my eyes because, like I said, DE powder is sharp and it can cut the lens or the lid of your eye, and it feels like you have something in there for a week, and it's horrible. All right, so, and you're gonna wanna have a scoop. All right, so I've already gone ahead and turned my appliance pool pumping system on. I emptied the pump basket. If you don't know how to do that, you might want to watch my video on that. It's pretty simple. And I also backwash this filter. So that's usually the best time to check. And if you're doing that, you can pretty much always keep an eye on whether or not you have torn grids, okay? So I have backwashed the filter. I've dedicated a little bit more of the suction to the skimmer, okay? And all you're gonna wanna do, and again, you don't have to do this when you backwash the filter, but if you notice again, if your pool's a little white and cloudy, all right, and you have a DE filter, this is a way to test to see if it's got some torn grids, all right? So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take a scoop of your DE powder. It doesn't have to be a lot, okay? Just take a scoop of powder. Now, obviously, I'm recharging this filter too, but you can still determine whether or not you have a torn grid. And I'm gonna pay attention to the return ports. If you notice, let me see if I can zoom in. There is the return port right there. And I can also watch the waterfall. Anywhere where the water is going back to the pool, I'm gonna pour the DE into the skimmer, and it's gonna suck down into the skimmer. That's obviously one scoop, okay? And as it does, I'm gonna look at the return port. So I'm gonna go to this one right here because it's so close, and we're gonna watch that, all right? Now, here's how you can tell. If in a few seconds you start to see white, cloudy water coming back through any of the returns, which includes the waterfall if you have one, then that's an indicator that you either have a torn grid or two or more, okay? And again, this is a return also, and you see it moving a lot of water, and it's as clear as can be. So we're in good shape, but that is pretty much how you tell without having to take the filter all apart, which is really nice, okay? And I suggest doing it anytime you backwash and recharge your filter. So I'm gonna finish recharging this filter, and then we're gonna talk a little bit more about what do you do once you realize you have a torn grid or two. Okay, so I'm back in the comfort of my air-conditioned truck because it's really hot out here. It's July and we're humid in Arizona and hot, so it's double trouble. So let's say you put the DE into the skimmer and you notice white, cloudy water blowing back in through the returns, whatever return that is, right? That's an indicator that you have one or more torn grids. So what do? Well, you can try to replace the grids yourself. I actually don't do it anymore because it's just a really dirty, messy job. And there's people who do it really fast. I've got a guy who does all my serious hardcore repairs, and he can come out and do it really, really quickly. But here's the deal. However you choose to do it, make note of this. replace the entire set of grids. Do not just replace the 1 or 2 grids that are torn. Here's why. Those grids are probably all the same age. So you're putting brand new fresh ones in with old weak ones, and it's just a matter of time before those old weak ones, water penetrates those, and you're back to taking it apart again and putting them back in. If you're paying a guy to come out and do it, that's going to add up in cost, right? Because every time they come out and take it apart, there's a labor charge. So if you notice that you have a torn grid or two, always, always, always replace the entire set of grids. You can find them for your type of filter online, probably pretty cheap. Sometimes you can find them, get them cheap, and then contact somebody to come in and install them, and they'll just charge you to install them, okay? As an average, when grids need to be replaced out here in Arizona, an entire set will run about $90 to $110 installed, okay? So that's the going rate out here in Arizona that I've heard from the guys who do repairs and do those kind of things. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. Again, replace the entire set of grids. Have I emphasized that strongly enough? Okay. All right. So that's what you do, and that's a simple way to test your DE grids to see if you have a leak or a tear in them without having to tear apart your filter. It's very simple. So I want to thank you again for watching. Remind you that if you haven't done so already, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with your friends. If you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comment section below this video, or if you'd like, you can email me directly. My email address will appear right across the bottom of the screen. As always, it's kennypoolschool@gmail.com. Once again, kennypoolschool@gmail.com. Thank you again for watching. Remind you to have a great summer, and as always, have fun, be safe, and always, always, always watch those kids and elderly people and your pets around water, and I will see you next time.